Media Weekly Wrap-Up. The Southern Miss Student Media Weekly Wrap-Up is a look at the events Southern Miss Student Media covered throughout the week and the events Southern Miss Student Media is working on for next week. And now, here's the host of the Southern Miss Student Media Weekly Wrap-Up, Kelsey Bolden.
Hi everyone, my name is Kelsey Bolden and I'm your host for the Southern Miss Student Media Weekly Wrap-Up. I hope everyone is doing well on this Friday afternoon at the top of the 12 o'clock hour. It is about 78 degrees in Hattiesburg right now, and it's a little windy today, or maybe a lot of windy today, because I was walking and I almost felt like I was going to blow away. But we are finishing up the 7th week of classes. Like I always say, the semester feels like it's going by super quickly, but you should just take time, if you have the time, to relax and do things with people that you love, like your friends and family. You can go walking, it's a beautiful day outside, exercise, read, just anything that makes you feel calm. On the Southern Miss Student Media Weekly Wrap-Up, I talked to leaders from SM2, the Southern Miss Student Media Center. In the Media Center, students have the opportunity to get involved with print, radio, social media, and television to curate stories that are for students and that are by students. Now we're going to take a sponsorship break and hear from Abigail Troth, who is the editor of the Student Prints. Stay tuned.
Join Southern Miss Radio on Sunday mornings from 6 a.m. till noon for Sunday Brunch. You'll get jazz and swing music from artists as wide-ranging as Bix Beiderbecke to Brad Meldau. From Dippermouth himself to Esperanza Spalding. But relax, you don't need to know anything about the music to enjoy it. It's a great way to wake up on Sunday morning. Sunday Brunch from 6 a.m. until noon on Southern Miss Radio.
Hey Southern Miss Radio, this is Charlie Luttrell from the 4th Street Sports Show, a student sports radio show and podcast covering everything going on in Southern Miss athletics. Our group is back this year to keep the coverage going and bring you a fresh perspective on your favorite teams. If you want to catch up on all the sports events and hear from the players and coaches themselves, then make sure to tune in to Southern Miss Radio 88.5 every Monday at 5 p.m.
Research shows that audiences feel positively about businesses that underwrite programming on their community radio station. Research also shows that the audiences are likely to patronize businesses that support community radio programming. The audience also believes that businesses that support community radio care about their community. If you want to build this type of relationship with WUSM's audience, call us at 601-266-4287 to ask about sponsoring programming. It's more than just exposure, it's building a community relationship.
All right, welcome back everyone. We have Abigail Troth here, who is the editor of the Student Prints. How are you, Abigail?
I'm good, Kelsey. It's good to see you again.
It's good to see you too, and you are pretty dressed up today.
Oh,
It's a
thank you.
really
I
nice
try.
dress.
Thank you. And the Golden Miss spirit. Golden
Yeah.
Miss? Gosh, I can't even talk.
Okay.
What are we called?
Southern
Miss.
Miss.
Southern Miss and the Golden Spirit, you know?
Yeah, we have a meeting later today,
Yeah.
and we're gonna have some people pretty dressed up. So, anyway, how was the Student Prints this week?
It was good. You know, mostly it was a work week because SMTV had a lot going on, and it was an SMTV week. So Student Prints just kind of focused on getting our stuff together for next week's production, just working on some new ideas. I know that we're working on a story based on the Out of the Darkness walk that's going to be tomorrow here on campus on the walking trail over there by the Payne Center. I know we're going to be covering that. We have some stories going on about I think it's the Supreme Court, someone in Washington, D.C. is talking about student loans and the student loan forgiveness plan. I know we're going to have a story on that most likely. We have some stuff going on with the faculty, some things that we have to cover. There's just a lot going on that we're kind of working on this week, getting our ideas ready.
Okay, and before we keep going with stories, would you mind explaining what an SMTV week is and I guess how that relates to the Student Prints?
Yes. So starting the semester, we've been doing kind of like a bi-weekly production thing. So Student Prints will have a week where we'll produce a newspaper on Wednesday, and then the next week we won't produce a newspaper because that week will be devoted to Southern Miss TV and their show that will also come out on Wednesday. So we just kind of exchange it, like it'll be Student Prints, then SMTV, then Student Prints SMTV, and so on and so forth.
Okay, because I know you mentioned that last week, and since this is an SMTV week, I thought it'd be pretty nice if you explained it.
Yeah,
so,
of course.
No, that was great. So are there any stories from this week that kind of, I know it's kind of maybe like a slower week, but just kind of stood out for the week?
It hasn't really gotten an emotion yet, but I'm really excited for the Out of the Darkness Walk story. I really am. I got to cover that last year, and it's a somber event, but it's something that is so important because it raises awareness for suicide, and it brings attention to mental health awareness and making sure that everyone is doing okay. And it's literally just what it says. We're bringing you out of the darkness, and it's a fun event, honestly. Everyone has a good time, even though there's like a mood over it. So I'm excited to see where we go with that story.
Yeah, so is there someone currently assigned to that story?
Sure, Simeon Gates will be covering it.
Okay. I was wondering if, maybe you'd dabble with that since you covered it last year.
Maybe.
Maybe, who knows? So what's going on next week? So the week before spring break.
Well, that's going to be our Student Prince week, so we're going to have a whole bunch of ideas. We're going to have layout. I'm going to have another crossword puzzle out. I'm really excited to make that. It's going to be movie themed because the Oscars are coming up, so definitely expect, a Slapgate incident question. But I'm also going to have a whole bunch of stories, just basically about what I was just talking about, Out of the Darkness Walk, faculty. I'm not sure if I'll be able to get my story that I'm working on in because there's going to be a woman who is involved in the civil rights movement speaking on campus, and I'm going to go out and cover that on Tuesday. So it might not make it into this week's paper, but it will be in the next one. But I'm excited. I know we have a lot going on next week. We're just kind of get everything prepared before we leave for the week.
Yeah, I know the event that you're talking about next Tuesday is hopefully going to be a really big event as a part of the Armstrong Branch lecture series.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. I know it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, and regarding your crossword puzzles, for those who don't know, the Student Prince has recently implemented crossword puzzles in the papers.
Yep.
And Abigail is very fond of them.
I think they're fun, and it's also a way to get everyone involved, actually picking up a paper. We do have a digital website, sm2media.com, and that's a nice way to read articles easily, but, we have a whole bunch of papers that we have in every building on campus, so it's a way to get people to pick those up and just kind of give them something fun to do while they read our articles.
And it's really interactive, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Well, thank you, as always, Abigail,
of course.
for that spiel. So now we're going to turn to Garrett Grove, who's actually in the studio with us today, but we're going to listen to his report on the 12th Kairos Mardi Gras Parade in Hattiesburg. Let's hear it.
The 12th annual Mardi Gras Parade kept the good times rolling in Hattiesburg.
But we wanted to catch the parade, so we thought we'd stop by, and we're enjoying it.
Get some Mardi Gras spirit.
Yeah.
The parade stretched for miles from the corner of 4th Street and Surface Drive to the intersection of Morningside Drive and 38th Avenue. Most of the bead tossing, candy throwing, and float riding action happened on Hardy Street, and there was enjoyment all around.
What was y'all's favorite part of the parade?
Getting us teddy bears. And whenever someone actually threw something to us. Yeah. He threw us a whole bunch of teddy bears.
The crowd filled both sides of Hardy Street, and the attractions and amount of goodies acquired helped the parade become more enjoyable for everyone. The experience should bring back some repeat visitors next year, like Audrey and Lee.
It was really good because I just loved the music and stuff, and it was great because we got a lot of bracelets and necklaces.
We got a lot more than we did last year. Last time we got 3 necklaces. That's it.
But no matter what one got during the parade, the event was a success. It's all but guaranteed to come back next year.
Garrett Grove, SM2 News.
Happy Mardi Gras!
Thanks, Garrett. So now we're going to turn to Garrett again, who is the executive producer of SMTV. How's it going, Garrett?
Yeah, I'm doing well. I'll admit that it's very beautiful outside, definitely a little windy like you were talking about, and there's definitely a lot of pollen. I'm, in a way, looking forward to the rain being able to come in today so it can kind of wash off my car. Granted, I'm going to the car wash sometime next week, but still, it'll just make it, not look yellow because it's a white car. But ultimately, I'm doing well. It's definitely been an interesting week, and it's definitely been another successful episode for SMTV.
Yeah, and I want to ask, how was your experience covering that parade? Was it fun,
Yeah, it was pretty fun. So the Kairos Mardi Gras parade. It was definitely a fun experience. There were just hundreds upon hundreds of people out there. I was also able to get some good photos for that. They appear online for sm2media.com. So was Sean Smith, who's kind of a better photographer than me. He definitely takes a lot more photos than I do. But ultimately, it was just a really good event. Definitely got some very good community engagement. People who are students in USM or even in the community. It really was just a great event for just people all across, not just Hattiesburg, but the Pine Belt to come together.
I bet. I didn't have the chance to go, but parades are always fun.
Oh yeah, definitely very true indeed. And it's definitely something that is, part and parcel of just, Mardi Gras season. Granted, that same weekend it happened. It was just kind of more or less the start of our Mardi Gras break. So, granted, other people went to New Orleans, other people went to Mobile for parades, but, we have something down in Hattiesburg too. So, you don't have to go too far away.
Well, the parade was in the past, so let's talk about the now. As Abigail stated, this is an SMTV week. So how is that going for this week?
Yeah, so we had our episode filmed on Wednesday, and it was the third episode of the semester. It's kind of hard to believe it's already March, but ultimately it was a solid episode. We had someone appear on camera for the first time. We had Kenny Elzy. I co-anchored alongside him, and he really did a good job for his first time, and just a good job in general, really. And of course, we had Thel Miles do weather, and he's always just a really interesting character to listen to. For Community Calendar, we had Ariana Sanders. She's done very well as well. And for sports, we had Amari Anderson, who's kind of our sports anchor for the semester. But aside from the talent, we also had some good packages as well. There was the News You Need event that happened last week. You were actually interviewed for it. And ultimately, it was something that was in Stout Hall, kind of encompassed just talking about how is digital technology, particularly AI like ChatGPT, going to influence just the digital landscape, professions like journalism, things of that nature. And, it was something that is definitely something that people have been thinking about. And we even talked about it last week because other universities are kind of having similar conversations about how it will kind of enhance the classroom as well as enhance professional practice after students graduate.
Yeah, it's really important, and we've talked about that quite a bit on the show, just like the perceptions of ChatGPT and the implications of using it in the classroom. But let's turn to next week because, like I told Abigail, that is the week before spring break. So what does SMTV have planned, or what's in the works for next week?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we're working on a few different pieces right now, and kind of like I was saying in previous episodes, we kind of have a sort of method known as media convergence, where there's a sort of cross-play between the type of content that you see in the paper, on radio, and on television. And so what you'll be seeing in the paper, a lot of it will also be appearing in the newscast, which won't air, 2 weeks from now, because the week after next will be spring break. So, I don't know what you're doing, but I'm not going to be here. But ultimately, in that same vein as well, kind of planning for what we're doing is still happening. It's just that, we're kind of in a sort of recovery mode at the moment, and we're trying to implement things such as, okay, what did we do right for this episode? What did we do wrong for this episode? Because the advantage of having an extended schedule to basically have a show every other week is it gives us time to actually look at and say, hey, what did we do well? What did we not do well? And kind of focusing on that sort of development element so people can do things better. People can kind of become more ingrained with sort of the standards that we expect. A good example of that is the standard sign-off. So ultimately, I think that this is going to be something we'll be focusing on, especially because we're going to have that little break that'll kind of throw everything off. But of course, going back to the theme of media convergence, what you'll be seeing in the paper for this upcoming week, you'll be seeing in our show as well.
Of course, and I love that you mentioned the evaluation aspect, you know, kind of doing the show and then taking a break, well, not really a break, but taking time to see what can be improved, because that's really important.
Yes, of course, and you know, it's something else that's kind of endemic of just being a college production overall. Obviously, we're not WDAM, where we're not only producing every day, but like producing multiple times a day. That's not what we, or pretty much any other college news organization, has for their television station or just media in general. But what we do have is a production that appears consistently, and in the time period in which we develop content, we have an opportunity to make sure that our content is up to snuff and that we're implementing journalistic practices that we're not only learning in the classroom, but also through hands-on experience with Southern Miss Student Media.
That's great, Garrett. Thank you for giving us that rundown and for being on, as always.
It's my pleasure.
Now we're going to hear Lauren Jones talk about the recent RHA Puppies and Painting event. We love puppies. Before some sponsorship messages, you're listening to the Southern Miss Student Media Weekly Wrap-Up. Stay tuned.
The Residence Hall Association's first event of the semester was one to remember. Students from all across campus filled the RHA Center to paint, see puppies, and learn more about mental health awareness. The event included speaker Shannon Reynolds from Student Counseling Services. She promoted offerings for SCS and interacted with those present. During her presentation, therapy dog Major Payne, also known as Moo Moo, entertained those present.
And so we were so happy to be invited tonight to come to share what we do, love on these students. That's what we're all about, is loving everyone and giving love.
During the event, students could bring their creativity to life by painting whatever they wanted on a small canvas, like sophomore Erin Sorolla, who deeply engaged with the RHA event. This event was a great opportunity for the experienced painter to have time for her hobby.
So I really enjoyed coming here. It's just the socialization, the art. It was just a really fun time because I got to meet so many new people and talk about what we were painting and how we were doing it.
The event hosted by the Residence Hall Association was overflowing with students like Sorolla, and organizers anticipate more engagement like this in the future.
Getting invited to help with this organization was wonderful, and we really look forward to coming back a bunch more.
The RHA's next event is a trivia night on March 22nd in the courtyard across from the library. Lauren Jones, SM2 News.
Sponsorship comes from American Graphics. Located at 8 Commercial Warehouse Drive in Hattiesburg, American Graphics provides custom screen printing and embroidery. They can be reached by phone at 601-602-2277. And the website is goamericangraphics.com. American Graphics, printing at its finest. Join Southern Miss Radio on Sunday mornings from 6 a.m. till noon for Sunday Brunch. You'll get jazz and swing music from artists as wide-ranging as Bix Beiderbecke to Brad Meldau. From Dippermouth himself to Esperanza Spalding. But relax, you don't need to know anything about the music to enjoy it. It's a great way to wake up on Sunday morning. Sunday Brunch from 6 a.m. until noon on Southern Miss Radio. When you or your business sponsors programming on WUSM, you are getting more than recognition for your product. You are also gaining the appreciation of our audience who understands that your sponsorship provides their favorite programming. And research shows that the audience is more likely to patronize your business, too. In addition, the cost of sponsoring programming on WUSM is tax deductible. To learn more, call 601-266-4287.
Hello, I'm Dr. Ed Simpson, Director of the School of Media and Communication at USM. Join me on Southern Miss Radio Friday afternoons at 12:30 for a new show, News You Need. On News You Need, USM students will discuss current events and why those events are important to them. Listen in on how the future citizens of the U.S. consider news and how those news events affect their lives. Join me for News You Need, Fridays at 12:30 on Southern Miss Radio. News You Need is brought to you by the generosity of Partners for the Arts. Partners for the Arts raises money to enhance the budgets of the arts programs here at Southern Miss. You can show your support for the arts by becoming an active partner and visiting www.usm.edu/arts.
Hi everyone, we're back with the Southern Miss Student Media Weekly Wrap-Up, and we have Jackson Howell, co-host of 4th Street Sports Show, filling in for Charlie today. How are you, Jackson?
I'm good. It's good to be here at Golden Miss, the Student Media Center Wrap-Up.
As always, we love Golden Miss.
Always.
So what is going on with 4th Street, sports, the whole thing, whole nine?
Busy sports week, probably the busiest to date. Myself and John Bonet Kepper are going to be covering the baseball series this week. That starts tonight at 6 against Dallas Baptist. They're a really good baseball team. They're going to give Southern Miss all they can handle, really. They've only lost one game on the season. And then the reason I'm pinch hitting for Charlie is because Charlie, Austin, Nathan, and Dima, they're all going to Pensacola to cover the men's and women's basketball tournaments, the Sun Belt Championship tournaments. Both basketball teams, they clinched a share of the regular season title, with the men's clinching it outright. So there's going to be a lot of eyeballs on them and a lot of fans expecting them to do well. So that'll last until Monday if they make it all the way. So can't wait to see how that folds out.
And Jackson was so devoted to our show that he decided to stay behind just to come on.
I did.
So.
I think the media weekly wrap-up show, it's important. And I wanted to wrap it up with y'all.
Yeah. So was there any sport victory or just outcome that kind of stood out to you this week?
This week, not really. Baseball and softball both lost this week. Baseball lost a thriller 10-9 against Mississippi State. That game was played in Pearl. Just frankly ugly baseball by both sides. A lot of walks, hit batters. So it really wasn't one team winning. It was one team surviving, and it just so happened to be Mississippi State. And then softball, they've had a historic start to the season. I believe they were 12-1 going into Wednesday. And they played top 10 Alabama in Tuscaloosa. They lost 5-0. Still a decent showing to shut down a lineup like that. But other than that, it's really looking forward to the weekend where Southern Miss sports are expected to shine.
And I engineered 4th Street Monday, and I always tell you all that I love hearing about what's the guests that you have on. You have some pretty special guests, so can you talk about your star basketball guest that was on Monday?
Yes, so we had Dominique Davis of the Southern Miss Women Lady Eagles basketball team. Earlier in the day, she had just made first team All Sun Belt, so that was quite an honor, quite good timing to get her on there. And then she was joined by Lady Eagle head coach Joy Lee McNillis. Always great to have her in. She always gives great insight, and it was just a fun interview. I know I was sitting in there with you, kind of watching it go down, but yeah, just a great player and a very fun coach to talk to, and it was a great conversation, I think.
And Dom seemed very humble.
Absolutely.
For the accolades that she's gotten.
Right. Like, she almost single-handedly got them a share of the title, right? It was a game against, I want to say, Louisiana, where it was in overtime, and Louisiana had the ball. She just takes the ball and goes and slams it in and really clinches the victory. So for her to be so humble getting all these accolades, it truly is special.
I agree. So now let's turn it over to next week, because like you said, it's a pretty eventful weekend. Your fellow co-hosts are going to Pensacola, so I'm sure there will be a lot to report about. So what can we expect to hear Monday on 4th Street?
Yeah, so I believe, if one or both teams make it to the championship round, even maybe the semifinal round, I believe they're going to record the show in Pensacola. They've kind of rented a room there. I believe they're going to do it there and kind of send it here. I don't know how that's going to work exactly, but if they both go one and done, the teams will probably be here Monday. But yeah, they're going to have a lot of basketball talk. They might touch on some baseball as well, but they're not going to be here for that. So it's really going to be heavy emphasis on the Sun Belt basketball tournament and how both teams did.
That sounds very exciting, and I'm excited to hear it when I engineer Monday, which I probably will be doing.
That's right.
Thank you, Jackson, for filling in for this second time this semester.
Hey, thank you for having me.
So now we're going to hear Charlie Luttrell's story on USM's regular basketball season title and Sun Belt Conference. Let's have a listen.
Southern Miss basketball is hitting the beach in Pensacola with high hopes for the Sun Belt Conference tournament after both programs won regular season titles. It's the first time in school history that both teams won the title in the same season. The Lady Eagles finished on a 5-game winning streak to split the crown with Texas State and James Madison, and head coach Jay Ladner's Golden Eagles won the conference outright with a 25-6 record.
I'm as happy for them as I am for myself, and our team. And to have both teams doing it, I think helps give all of us a boost in terms of helping promote basketball.
For the men, it's been 23 seasons since a regular season title. It's the first for Lady Eagles head coach Joy Lee McNellis in her 19th season at the university, and only the 3rd time in program history.
I'm just so proud that they get to hang a banner as a group of players. You don't get that every day because that is going through the grunt work. That's going through tears. We take that as our foundation this year, and that's what we hope will carry us through to play 120 minutes to win a championship.
The regular season title reflects a season's worth of preparation and commitment, going all the way back to preseason. But now it all comes down to 120 minutes in the conference tournament to decide who will go dancing.
Now the real season starts, and there's no do-overs, there's no, gosh, coach, let's get them back next game and get this corrected. This is our final exam.
Both teams have faced their share of challenges, with the Lady Eagles fighting back from a mid-season slump and the Golden Eagles going from being picked last in the conference to finishing first. Men's guard Austin Crowley said that the tournament boils down to who comes prepared to play their best brand of basketball.
When we step on the court, none of those percentages, none of those rankings, none of those polls matter. It's you versus me. As a team, we feel like we come out and play our hardest. I don't think nobody can beat us.
Both teams have double byes in the tournament and get a week off to rest and prepare for their opponents. That means they will need to be ready to go against a team that has already earned a win in the tournament and gotten past the early jitters.
We just, as coaches, have to really make sure we do a great job of holding our group accountable just to stay locked in so that they can relax and have fun.
Everybody's patting them on the back, and we want to make sure that our feet are on the ground, our heads out of the clouds, and we get refocused on the task at hand.
The Lady Eagles play Friday at 5 p.m. at the Pensacola Bay Center, and the Golden Eagles follow them with a game Saturday at 11:30. This has been Charlie Luttrell with the 4th Street Sports Show.
Thank you, Charlie. And that's it for today's show, everyone. I want to, as always, give a big shout out to our guests this week, Abigail Troth, Garrett Grove, and Jackson Howell. Also, our audio engineer, Matthew Lee, and video producer, Devontae Anthony. You can't see him if you're watching, but he's working hard back there. I also want to thank the manager of our station, Dr. Wilbur Martin, for always keeping us on track every single week. Remember that you can check out the student prints on sm2media.com and get copies around campus. You can also check out episodes of SMTV on YouTube and the 4th Street Sports Show at 5 on Mondays on 88.5. Also, check out our Instagram at sm2.usm. I'm Kelsey Bolden, and this was the Southern Miss Student Media Weekly Wrap-Up and a production of the Southern Miss Student Media Productions. Stay safe and have a great weekend.
This has been the Southern Miss Student Media Weekly Wrap-Up, a look at the events